Let's get into our first topic of today. Last episode, we talked about House the Dragon. We got through the whole show except the finale. Unfortunately, Adrian's not with us here today, but let's talk about the finale of House of the Dragon. Jesse, lay us your thoughts. What did you think of this finale? Did they stick the landing?
I think they very much so stick the landing. I really enjoyed it. That the last 10 minutes is just you think I can't remember the kid's name. Lucerys. It's
Lucerys, yeah.
Yeah, Lucerys, yeah. You're so concerned for him when he's flying over to where the Baratheon castle is, and you see Aemon there, and you're like, bro, just get out. And then just that last sequence with the dragon was just so expertly done, where he sees just the silhouette of the dragon by the storm in the background, and then it's gone, and then it's hovering above his dragon. It's just so much bigger, and it was just a really well crafted ending, and a great, I guess, cliffhanger for the next season, where obviously war is going to begin between the two sides, and I just thought it was just a really well made episode, like the entirety of this season has been. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it's been. I literally watched it a couple of hours after we filmed the last podcast from a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, but that was really good.
I actually saw it today. It took me a while to catch up, but I loved it too. But before I go into my thoughts, Russell, anything that really stood out to you with this episode?
Well, look, I know I'm coming in here sharing my thoughts at the very end, the season finale.
Actually, before you do, tell us, what are your overall thoughts of House of the Dragon?
Thank you.
Is it leading up to? Yeah, sorry, I should have started with that. And how are you feeling about it?
It's all good. Look, I love the original Game of Thrones. It's I think for like a lot of people, it's such an important series to me. Again, I'm very much an apologist when it comes to any film or TV show, so I'm always willing to kind of see through its flaws. But this was really kind of restored my faith in the show. I think the season and this show as the beginning is just really kind of just making me go okay, I'm so glad that I still hedged my bets on Game of Thrones, because I think there's a great future to be had. And this season is very telling of that, hopefully telling of that. So yeah, overall, just every episode is just amazing. Every episode, I'm just waiting for the next one. I want to see how these characters develop, what each episode is going to bring. I think any good Game of Thrones show or episode does. So now kind of leading into the finale, it's we're constantly just kind of setting up this future dance of the dragons, and that kind of tension is just building and building, but sometimes let go because they're going to work out. Are they going to work out? Seemingly things are working out. Is there peace between the families? And then the last one or two episodes just kind of no, this was coming. You knew it. So this last episode was very bittersweet. It was a lot of kind of connecting back to the start, a lot of drawing similarities to the birth of, or I guess stillbirth of Rhaenyra's kid, and just kind of all how they're drawing the start and end of the first season really kind of feels to me hey, this whole first season feels almost setting the stage, the chess pieces on the board. And I really liked how this last episode continues that without having to be do you know what I mean? It feels that was the theme of the show, and they stuck that landing where it's cool, this is one of the best cliffhangers you're going to get, because we don't know what's going to happen next. So
I love that the confrontation as well between Rhaenyra and Daemon against Otto Hightower. And Daemon's nah, fuck this guy. Let's just cut his head off. And kudos to Otto Hightower for having the balls to go all the way to Dragonstone and confront them about it, because he could have very much lost his life, because he's got all the dragons and everything. So he's got some balls to do that. So
no, honestly, that scene, I was I don't know what you're doing. Do you know you're literally playing with fire right now?
Definitely. One of the one of the things I remember Adrienne said last episode that she was having a bit of a blockage with her, I think, was actually no, maybe it was me. I can't remember. We had this conversation last episode where we were saying it felt a bit like what's the word? Like there wasn't a lot of variety because you're not seeing a lot of the different
It's
kingdoms
condensed.
as much as Game of it was more condensed, which is kind of both a good and a bad thing. Because on one hand, you know, it's good because you get to focus more on these characters in this area, but it's also kind of a bit bad because with all these different plot lines and different locations with Game of Thrones, you kind of got a little bit more of a more of a palate cleanser between storylines and stuff. I can see that starting to happen now. Like the splitting of the house into almost two. We're starting to get like even this episode when they started talking about going, go see the Starks, go see these guys. I was like, oh, okay, now we get into the Game of Thrones stuff. Like it was always still Game of Thrones, but now it's feeling like it's almost like when you're watching a Marvel movie and you get a little cameo or something. It's hearing those name drops. It's like, ooh, I remember those characters. Like, I remember that family.
He needs that Marvel formula.
Yeah, never fails. Something I did say though last time as well is when they had the time skip and they changed the actress for Rhaenyra, like that really did something to like my love for the show died a little bit.
Oh, really?
I like that younger actress a lot, but this I think it's Emma Darcy. Is that
Emma Darcy's the older one. Millie Alcock's the younger one.
Right? Yeah. So she's growing on me now. I'm starting to like her as well now. But my new problem with the show is I'm getting really confused between a lot of the characters and the actors. And it's reminding me, like with Game of Thrones, it took me like a season or two to really get into it because there were so many people. Like, I was going to say, Matt Smith and Ewan Mitchell look like freaking twins to me. Like, I know Ewan Mitchell's character has the eye patch, but when you first saw him with the eye patch, I was like, oh, it's when Matt Smith wear an eye patch. And why is it like he has Botox in his lips? And it wasn't until like an episode or two later I realized, oh, they're different characters. And when I saw him in the finale and he's like, oh, you got to give me an eye. I was like, oh, because the kid got stabbed before and now he's mad. And like, I know I'm so,
But
the show makes me feel dumb.
They don't look like that similar. Like Aemon looks like Op Shop Legolas.
Well, to me, at first, I thought they were the same person. And also, there's with Rhaenyra, played by Emma Darcy, and there's another character. I get she's like an older woman, but at one point I thought for like a full episode, I thought it was Rhaenyra, and it's only I forget her name. But I know there's
Rhaenys, yeah, her aunt.
Rhaenys. Yes, there's Rhaenys and there's Rhaenyra, right?
Yes, correct.
The show is killing me, bro. The show is fucking.
They need more Viserys and Aemons in there, and
yeah. I also really love Viserys. So to know, like, you know, he's no longer around, that's a bit bummer. But
Aegon. They need more Viserys and Aegons in there. They need to name a few more people
with different letters of the alphabet. Not every name has to start with the letter R. Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that dragon chase was amazing. It's funny to say this, but it feels like now the show's starting.
Yeah.
You know what I
mean?
So I'm really excited to see what happens moving forward. And now that they've got such a good budget, I'm just happy to know we're never going to have a situation like, was it season 2 of Game of Thrones where there was like a war. There was like a fight. There was going to be a battle scene, and then like the horse hits. Was it Tyrion?
Tyrion, yeah.
And then he blacks out and he wakes up and the war's over. That got me so mad when that happened. And now, like after watching these dragon fights, I'm like, okay, they'll never happen again. I'm so happy now.
House of Dragon really feels like they made their cake and ate it. Have their cake and eat it. Yeah, is that the expression?
Yeah, I think so.
I think they managed to balance the spectacle that came in the last few seasons of Game of Thrones with the dialogue and just the juiciness of those first few seasons of Game of Thrones. Like, I feel like a really perfect blend. And I feel like, I don't know, to your point, like, you know, it does feel like the show is about to begin because it feels like this whole chessboard thing I said earlier, it is the whole thing, like the whole idea of this first season. I read somewhere that this first season of House of the Dragons actually is like 40 pages out of the like 800 pages of
Oh my god.
Dance of the Dragons. So when you say that, like, it really puts the whole thing in perspective. Like it's a pretty cool season 1 almost, you know. So
Well, George R. R. Martin said he wants it to be 4 seasons
yeah,
to have some sort of completion, which I think is fair enough. HBO, do it.
Don't stretch it out.
Don't cut it 4 seasons short like you did Game of Thrones, or however much they cut it short. I know it's not HBO, it was Dean and the showrunners, but
But well, it was HBO as well. Like, they could have just gotten new showrunners. Like, that happens all the time. Like, they're like, nah, let's end it. Like, no. Like, you could anyway. That's oh, you're really digging up some emotions here.
I heard the actors were kind of a bit over it as well. Like, they've been doing it for like 10 years or something, you know. So but yeah, HBO, 4 seasons. I mean, 4 seasons is manageable. I mean, come on. Like, most shows are most successful shows are at least 4 seasons, if not more. So
yeah, generally I've noticed with a lot of TV shows is they sign the actors on for 5 seasons. And that's why you'll notice when there's a season 6 for a lot of shows, not all shows, but with a lot of shows, around season 5 or 6, new main cast characters start being introduced, or the cast starts changing up a bit there. That's usually because of like contracts and stuff.
Oh, wow.
I believe that's just an observation. I might have read something somewhere. I'm not sure, but you know, season 5 and 6 is like when things really often shake up a lot. But
it makes a lot of sense, to be honest, because actually now that you say that, I'm like rethinking like some of the like shows I grew up with, like Supernatural. I know a bit of a deviation. What you just said.
The CW shows, like I think I first noticed it with Arrow and The Flash.
There you go.
And I think Parks and Rec did the same, and maybe The Office. When did Michael Scott leave? Was it season 6, season 5, something like that? But I also know Netflix has once said that they don't like having shows run past 3 seasons because they believe their analytics say that most people drop off after season 3.
Really?
Netflix doesn't know how to build an audience. Let's not even give them credit for that.
Well, it's true. It's a good point. Like, how many Netflix shows have run for very long? All their successful shows, or not all, but a lot of them are shows that already existed and they just made them popular again. Like, oh, New Girl's so popular now and Seinfeld's getting popular again. Like, yeah, but Netflix, you didn't make them. You bought. They came out years ago.
That's a weird, because there's only, in all the TV shows I've watched, and I've watched a lot, there's only like 2 or 3 shows which I stopped watching: Walking Dead, Westworld, and Better Call Saul. But I might pick up Better Call Saul again. But
Better Call Saul's worth picking up. It's good.
Well,
it's got a good finale.
Walking Dead and Westworld are the only 2 shows where I kind of just stopped watching. So that's kind of interesting.
Well, Walking Dead, everyone knows like the writing went real downhill around. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Probably around season 5 or 6, I would say, actually.
I dropped off I think after season 7, something like that. So
I think I pushed myself to around, season 7, season 8, I think. But I was really struggling. The only reason I was watching it for so long, there's a podcast I was listening to who also hated, like they always complained about how the show was getting bad, but they kept me watching, and then eventually they gave up. And so then I stopped watching. But the other day I opened my podcast app and they're like, okay, we're watching Walking Dead again. And so now I'm looking at my phone like, fuck, should I watch Walking Dead? I know it's going to be bad, but I used to love that podcast. So I don't know. Anyways, go on.
No, I was going to after like the final season, which is like 11 to 12. I heard the quality did pick up a little bit towards the last few seasons, apparently. But same like
it's
you,
still running, isn't it? I'm pretty sure
it's still running. But the final season now, though, it's final. Like they have and everything. So, right. But like anyway, just that random kind of coincidence. I'm actually thinking about restarting and rewatching Walking Dead from the beginning, and like just working my way back up because I quit around when Negan arrived. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing that.
All right, guys, let's start our own Walking Dead podcast.
Yeah,
do
let's
it.
go.